Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for listening, tuning in today. However you're watching the show, my name is Andrew Champagne. I am a member of the state committee from Democratic Party. I'm also involved in Democratic politics in Chittenden and statewide and citywide. And I am the host of the Burlington Live at 525 show, which we have the second Tuesday of every month. Which we're going to talk about Democratic politics, both nationally, state, local, whatever you want. I am coming here today from the beautiful studios of Town Meeting Television in the heart of the Old North End, on the corner of Archibald Street and North Winooski Avenue, as I said, in the historic Old North End. I'd like to thank my crew today. I'd like to thank Kate, my camera person. I'd like to thank Stephen, my producer. I'd like to thank also Kevin, Daniel, and Jackson aren't here today. I got to thank Emily. I've got to thank Megan. I, of course, have to thank Miss Lauren Glendavidian, the head of Town Meeting Television. And anybody who's watching, I'm not sure we'll have this up by tomorrow, but we're having our big picnic tomorrow, our celebration of Town Meeting Television. And, okay, I'm getting all these different camera angles here, trying to figure out where I'm at. That is going to be held tomorrow, which is June 14th. I'm not sure this is going to be up by then, but it's going to be at the St. John's Club, which is in the south end of Burlington. It's between 3 and 7. Town Meeting Television is really your number one choice for local politics. Now, we have our tradition of town meeting in Vermont, and I think also in New Hampshire. But in the other 48 and contiguous territories and states, they do not have this. So it's a very special day. It is always the first Tuesday in March. It cannot be on March 1st. So it's between March 1st and March 8th. And that is when we vote on local topics like mayor's race, city council race, inspector of elections, when you vote on potential bond items. Once every 3 years here in Burlington, we have a mayor's race. And actually, we will have a mayor's race in March. Now, I'd like to give a shout out to my friend, the mayor, Moreau Weinberger. I think that he is going to run again. I think he's going to win again. I know he's interested in several different things, but he's been an excellent mayor. Being mayor of Burlington is not easy. We're a small city with big city problems, and that is very tough sometimes. So I'd like to say hello to everyone in the mayor's staff, Jordan, his chief of staff, and Samantha, his communications director, and all the good people working with him. Moreau's a good man. Okay, so today, now, anyone who's watching this in real time has probably already heard, so we're not going to get into too much analysis or anything, but former President Trump was indicted again today, this time on a federal charge in Miami. Very, very serious charges, 34 counts of storing, taking, removing classified documents. Now, a president may classify documents, but an ex-president a president can declassify documents, but an ex-president cannot. I saw some pictures how those documents were stored, and it was shameful. I wouldn't store letters or Christmas cards like that, okay? And this is a man who's been sued, and this was years ago, over 500 times. He's facing indictments in New York on very serious charges of having an affair with someone and then paying them off, why his wife was pregnant with their child. He is also, I think, the most serious charge, besides this one, is the charge that I think will come in Georgia about him trying to manipulate and he lost Georgia by a very small margin. Make no mistake about it, President Trump got a lot of votes, okay? We all know that. But he lost Georgia by 11,000 votes. And, you know, there is tape recordings of him calling the Secretary of State and in that state and saying, you know, where can you find me 11,000 votes? Now, I've never heard of such willful, felonious, federal tampering. And I believe that is the most serious charge. But I was also told that the documents found in his club, which would be like if I left classified documents just around this studio. There's offices here and production rooms and storage rooms, actually contain secrets about our nuclear capabilities. So, we're talking about national security here. And if the president cannot be trusted to properly store documents, it's very, very frightening. I find President Trump very frightening. I think his support is waning day by day. His voters are on the older side. They're a very small demographic. They're white, conservative, rural a lot of time voters. And, those people are phasing out. And I think that President Biden, I don't know if we're able to get any pictures up today, Stephen. Maybe we can put up President Biden and Dr. Jill Biden. I think, hey, there he is. I was a delegate for him in 2020 in the Democratic National Convention, and I will be running again as a delegate for him to hopefully go to the convention in Chicago. So I think, now can we get Dr. Jill up there, Stephen? That would be great. What a great team. The First Lady. Still teaching community college, still teaching English classes all during the week, and being First Lady and mother and grandmother and watching out for the president. God bless you. You're great. She was in Burlington just about a month ago for an event, and it was quite a successful event. And so we're always glad to see President Biden. He's been up here before as vice president a couple times. So getting back to Trump, obviously this is a Democratic show, so we're not going to talk too much about the opposition. But, the Republicans, if they stick with him, are making an awful, awful mistake. And these charges are very, very serious. And it's really shameful incident in our history. When I think of our fantastic presidents that we've had, Washington and Jefferson and Madison and Monroe, and both John Adams and John Quincy Adams and Andrew Jackson and Abraham Lincoln and U.S. Grant and Teddy Roosevelt and Woodrow Wilson and Franklin Delano Roosevelt and Harry Truman and Dwight Eisenhower and John F. Kennedy and Lyndon Johnson and Jimmy Carter. And, these were honorable Republicans I'm going to mention here, Ronald Reagan and George Bush and Barack Obama. So this man is in this company. It's a shameful incident in our history. It shows that there's a deep schism in our society. And there's a lot of people who feel their voices aren't being heard, and they're angry. Now, we've talked before. In the last election, President Trump received 75 million votes, the most votes ever up till that time, ever. But President Biden received 81 million. Now, the popular vote, just for anyone who's watching this show, I think my microphone dropped here. We're going to have to fix it. I'm sorry about that, Stephen. My bad. I apologize, everyone. It just fell off my tie. Now, the popular vote, just, anyone who doesn't know, the popular vote is not an indicator. You can be elected if you lose the popular vote. That's happened a few times. The reason that the Founding Fathers put in the Electoral College is they wanted the small states to have some representation. Now, we're under 700,000 here. We're about 700,000 in Vermont. We have 3 electoral votes. Now, if we didn't have those electoral votes, we'd have no power. We vote about 400 or 500,000 for an election. There's 30 million people in California. So just like San Jose would be twice as many people as the whole state of Vermont. So, the Electoral College gets questioned every 4 years. But it's here to stay. It would require a constitutional amendment, which would require both houses of Congress and 2/3 of the legislatures to pass it by 2/3 vote. So it's not going anywhere. The states that are going to really count in 2024 are going to be Florida, Georgia, North Carolina, Virginia, New Jersey, moving out the crucial, vital state of Ohio. Nobody wins without Ohio. Indiana could be in play. Wisconsin, Michigan, Nevada, Colorado, New Mexico. These states are up for grabs. Now, I'm sorry. So sorry. I have to fix this. My apologies. I'm going to put this on a different thing here. Okay, that's not going to fall. So the states that we can consider that will probably go Democratic are New York, California. Okay, right off the bat. Pennsylvania will come into play here. But the swing states, there's about 10 of them, are going to decide the election. Now, there has been, and it's happened on both sides, I will tell you, but recently it's been the Republicans because they, after the re-election of President Obama, they realized that he was going to be president for 4 years, and they turned their intentions to the state legislatures. And they took over 1,000 seats. So that's what they've been concentrating on. They've been concentrating on the judiciary and the state legislators. In, I think, 17 states, I think the Republicans have the House, the Senate, and the governor. And with that, you got a blank check, man. It's not really democracy. The mix, the balance is important. Now, for example, in Vermont, we can put a picture of him. He's the best Republican I know, Governor Scott, extraordinarily popular governor. I want to thank him for going to my friend's commencement at CCV at Norwich University, excuse me, last Saturday, and he was very gracious and kind. And Gov's a good man. He'll be governor as long as he wants to be. Now, we don't know if he's going to run for a 5th term. The problem in Vermont is, like New Hampshire, like I talked about with the town meeting, we have our unusual, every state has its quirks with voting, but the 2-year term is really rough because it's like if you're really in a competitive race, just a few months after you're sworn in, you have to start running again. And what the governors and governor candidates, they hate more than anything is they have to make calls and raise money. It's called call time. And it's no fun calling people off a list every single day for money, for months. And, some governors, they get sick of it. They don't run again. And so we'll see. What Governor Scott has been able to literally do very little campaigning. He's had some good opponents. Sue Minter, Christina Hallquist, both my friends. David Zuckerman, hey, I don't know if you got Zuck up there as lieutenant governor. He's doing a good job. He's a good man. And then Rachel Siegel. But none of these candidates, as good as they were, and I worked for all of them. Hey, David, doing a good job. That's an old picture. He cut his ponytail. We'll have to get a new one. All these candidates were not able to defeat Governor Scott. And his middle of the road, he's very common. He has a lot of common sense. He's a lifelong Central Vermonter. Grown up within steps of the auditorium in Barrie, went to Spalding, went to UVM. He's a Vermont guy. But I do question, in this last session, in order for our society to move forward, sometimes we have to spend money. And taxes have to go up sometimes. Fees have to go up to pay for things. We have a lot of expenses. People are living longer. Our population in Vermont is very old. That requires a tremendous amount of funding from the state and government. And I worry about Vermont because pre-pandemic, I'm not sure I have new results now, the more people were dying than were being born in Vermont. And that is a very telling statistic. Our rural areas are really having a tough time. If you go out to Johnson, out that way, Lamoille County, and then you go straight up to Newport, about 60 miles, it's very, very banged up, old, and you don't see young people. And there's a lot of damaged people up there. Unfortunately, the opiates that were sold legally, CVS, Walgreens, call them out. They sold this poison and prescribed it and re-prescribed it. Oh, hey, do you need another refill of OxyContin, which is completely addictive substance? So now we have a generation, someone said to me, a generation of junkies. Boy, that's sad. A generation of people who have been damaged by these opiates. And, living downtown, living in the Old North End, I see people that are using narcotics. And I will tell you, these new kind of drugs don't look very happy. None of them look very happy. It's a very sad, tragic, terrible jail, institution, or death life. But remember, it was Big Pharma that rammed this stuff down our throats. And please remember, if you took OxyContin 30 days in a row, that 31st day, you'd do about damn near anything to get that pill. So the Sacklers and CVS and Walgreens and Rite Aid and Kinney's and all those drugs, they're all responsible. So thank God we have the legalization of marijuana, cannabis, pot, weed, whatever you want to call it, and CBD, which is able to calm people and help people that is in a non-narcotic way. We must, this next generation cannot fall into this trap. I have very little experience with opiates, but I know that they're so habit forming, so addicting, and so depressing. And as I said, jail, institution, or death. And that's the deal, man. But you know who Big Pharma loves to contribute to? President Donald Trump and Mitch McConnell and all these other crooks. Anyway, moving on. Trump's indicted again. And I also forgot about the civil suit, which a writer, her name is Miss Jean Carroll, put against Trump, and he lost. He had to pay $5 million. He ran into her at a very, very nice upscale department store in New York City called Bergdorf Goodman. And, the jury came to the conclusion that he forced himself on her and raped her. And this poor lady has never been the same, and I believe her implicitly. And again, Trump lies and people's lives are fractured. He doesn't care. He leaves all his friends behind. I don't know if he has any friends. Talking about him sometimes sounds like I'm talking about Hitler, and I'm not kidding. It scares me. Don't fall for the madness, okay? Now, I have 10 minutes left, so we're going to talk, let's talk about voting. If anyone's listening to this show and you would like to get registered to vote, you can go to the city clerk's office of any town in Vermont. They're usually open 8 to 4:30, and you can register. You can register online, okay? Very easy. Or you can give me a call. My telephone number is up there. I don't know if Stephen can put it up. Ah, there it is. It's always funny to see your own phone number up on the screen. Call before midnight tonight. My friends, don't call too late, but give me a call if you need to register to vote. Let's talk about another number I'd like to put up. I kind of do my crusade is if you are having problems in Vermont, if you have trouble making ends meet, if you have trouble feeding you or your family, if you have trouble with health bills, water bills, heating bills, if you need some counseling, if you need addiction services, if you need a friend to talk to, if you're worried about a situation, what we'd like you to do is call the state number, which is 211. Very important. Now, I was told they were thinking of cutting the funding to 211 because there weren't enough people calling. So if you have questions about any Vermont services, I'm sorry, I didn't see that, sir. Was that 2 minutes or 5?
5.
Thank you. Stephen, thank you. Call 211. I'm also going to do I always do this. COVID is not over. People died today in America from COVID. We need everyone to get vaccinated. I think what's going to happen, it's going to be a routine shot, like a flu shot, a shingles shot, a tetanus shot. Well, that's every 10 years, but it's going to be something that you get done every year. Now, some people worry, oh, the shot is going to hurt me or make me sick. That is not the case. I've taken 5 of the shots. A couple of them, your arm is a little bruised, it feels a little bit, and you're tired the next day, but that is it. So we're talking about saving lives, okay? COVID is not over. If you have questions about COVID, if you have questions about 3 Squares, which is the food stamp program, if you have questions about Medicaid or Medicare, Social Security, please call 211. Can we put that up? Thank you. So I think about 3 minutes left, and I'd like to thank you all for watching. I have to admit, I was talking with my producer, and this is a tough month to do, a half hour of political commentary. So we have, the news that we have, President Biden and Vice President Harris are going to run again. I think they're going to win. Our convention will be in Chicago. The Republicans will be in Milwaukee, where we had ours last time. 2 great Midwestern cities. We see that the heartland is going to be the focus of this campaign. I'm going to register voters. I'm going to talk to people. Talk to your neighbor. We need to have a conversation, a communication, okay? America is a gorgeous mosaic, and we all fit in the puzzle. And so I'm down to about 2 minutes, I think, and I'm down to 1 minute. Okay, 2 minutes. So what I'd like you to take from this today is I also think we had a pretty good session in the legislature. Governor Scott, he vetoed a couple things. He let some things go without his signature. Now it's 72-hour waiting period to buy a firearm. I appreciate that. Also, I want to thank Senator Peter Welch for all his good work, and Senator Bernie Sanders. We've got to get them up, and possibly Becca Balint, please. Get a pic. Hey, there he is. That's the guy right there. The leader of the progressive left movement in America. A hero. He came to the Curtis Awards, our Democratic dinner. I can't thank him enough. And then where's my pal, Senator Welch? He's doing such a great job in Washington. He is right on the ball. And we also have Becca Balint. I'm down to about 1 minute, I think. And it's been great talking to you. What I'd like you to take from this show is how much we care about our country, Burlington, Vermont. We want to make things. My friend, there's so many great things going on in our country right now. I live in the college area, and I'm so impressed with the college students. They're so on the ball. They're so bright. They've gotten past a lot of prejudices and cliches and stereotypes of their dumbbell parents and that generation. I always thought my generation, I think we had a lot of racism and sexism in my generation. And, getting by that is very important, and realizing it and having conversations with people other than your circle. So I'm down to about 30 seconds, I think. Is that correct? 1 minute. Okay. I'd like to thank my staff here. Again, the people helping at Town Meeting Television. My producer today, Stephen. Megan, my regular producer, Kevin, Jackson and Daniel, Miss Lauren Glendavidian, Emily. We want to thank you. I will be on next month at this time. I think we're going to do 45 minutes. I am getting ready to sign off. I would like to tell you it's been a privilege and honor to have this show with you. Please register to vote. Please do something good for our community. Take care of yourself. God bless. Thank you very much, and have a great night.